Sounds good. All right, let's do it. As of a new update on Instagram this year, social media as a whole, and more particularly Instagram, is paying you to use its platform. This is interesting because it's always been free, and the whole idea is that your attention is being sold. That's why it's free access. They then sell your attention to third-party advertisers. We know this. But now, not only is it free, the incentive is even more positive. We're being paid to do it. So, what is going on? What do we think?
I think it's weird. I think
it's weird too.
I think it's a little weird. It's like the same concept as like paying a kid to play with their toys. Like they were gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
But you're gonna pay them for it now. It already had their attention. They're already using it. It's just a little weird.
It is a little weird. Alex, you were showing me the other day. We sat down. Inspiration for even this show today was like, yo, I got a few $100 on my payout. I'm about to maybe reach 1,200 or something like that. And it's just like, what the heck is going on here? Does that mean you work for Instagram? You know what I'm saying?
Technically, he's an influencer.
Congratulations on your new job, Alex. Today we're talking about Alex's new work. Alex's new place of employment, Facebook. Now here's what I want to say is when you get to decide on your own devices whether or not you want to participate in something, then you can judge like how much fun it brings and how much time it takes and all these kind of things. Now we're being asked in creative ways to spend more and more time on social media, right? Now we're being paid to stay on social media. So I think it begs this question. What do we think about social media, period? Do you personally think that social media is a positive, or do you think it's something that is a negative for you personally?
I can definitely relate to this, even to the point of, like, you know, you're standing in line getting coffee, and the first thing you want to do is hop on your phone. Mm-hmm. You know, you miss a lot of human interaction and things that generations, you know, before us they were basically forced to do. You know, sit in a room and talk about the fucking weather. You know, like, when's the last time that happened? And what are we missing out on by not having those intimate, face-to-face, in-person conversations? And even to the point where we were talking yesterday, like, I can't even go to bed without being on my phone, having YouTube playing, something to, like, quiet my mind, because if not, it's like my brain is going a million miles an hour, just everything I missed throughout the day, a million thoughts. I
think what's so interesting about that, like, we were talking about this last night, just thinking about the show, and he said one thing is that at night I have to watch a YouTube video. Like, I got to watch a YouTube video to sedate my mind. You know what I'm saying?
I do the same thing.
Because, I mean, if I don't, I'm just barraged by a bunch of intrusive thoughts, right? Which, here's the interesting thing about this is that those should have occurred earlier in the day. Think about this. When's the last time you went to Starbucks and got a cup of coffee, and in the drive-thru, you just sat in your car? Has anyone done that recently?
I have.
No.
Instead of scrolling whatever on your drive-thru, like you're waiting for a coffee to be made. When's the last time you walked into Starbucks, you said, I'd like a cafe au lait, please. They said, no worries, give us 5 minutes, and you sat down and you just sat there. And you kind of thought, you know, I guess it is weird how shirts fit. You know, I guess shirts have like there's three. How many holes are in a shirt? Well, you know, oh, there's like a straw. Does a straw have one hole or two holes? You start thinking these really abstract things. Straws. What if people were made of straws? Straws are kind of funny. Bendy straws. I love bendy straws. Right? That point, like that time, this is a very serious point. That time spent not processing external information is extremely healthy for your brain. That's where you are able to think weird thoughts and let those things culminate as they do. A bunch of straw people walking around, pressing buttons, doing stuff. Oh, that's kind of funny. I look like a straw. Like you're organizing information. It's actually somewhat of like a sleep state for your brain, right?
Yeah.
It's like a sleep state because you're organizing information. If you don't sit quietly at Starbucks and just let your mind wander and let those thoughts pop up, I'm kind of insecure. I'm a little worried about my job. All these things. When you try to do the big one, which is at nighttime, when you try to just turn it off altogether, it's impossible.
Yeah.
And they all just, like the Kool-Aid man, but it's intrusive thoughts. It's like, yeah, you know, it just bursts through your wall, and it's just like, you thought your aunt was hot one time at a barbecue, or like a bunch of weird shit. You know, it's just a bunch of weird shit thrown at you at one time. I think this is a great moment to stop just for a second to give a shout out to our sponsor. because, you know, like we're talking about now, you use social media all the fucking time to get away from these thoughts that pop in your head all the time. So here's a shout out from our sponsor. Thanks so much for throwing us a check today. Are you tired of being able to sleep peacefully at night? Are you over having normal conversations that leave you feeling refreshed and, in general, pretty good about yourself? Would you like to know what it's like to be a normal person with crippling anxiety at every moment of every day? Well, say goodbye to your bland, mundane existence with today's sponsor. Now that's what I call Intrusive Thoughts Volume 1. This premium audio tape will show you step-by-step how to single-handedly ruin just about any moment of your life, including interacting with other people. All with the power of thought. Featuring all of the great classics. A cute baby in a store. You could easily stab that baby to death. No one can stop you. Enjoying a nice, calm drive to work? With one move, you could drive into oncoming traffic and kill both you and the other driver. Enjoying a normal conversation with your grandmother. I wonder if she's ever tried anal. Did you catch a glimpse of the gun you keep in your house for self-defense? You could kill everyone in your family with that gun right now. A beautiful Sunday morning at church. You should stand up and yell fuck as loud as you can. All of these classics and more on Now That's What I Call Intrusive Thoughts Volume 1. Order your copy now and get a complimentary poster to hang up in your room to remind you every day that came from somewhere. As well as a limited edition unrated version, which includes and that person would never even know it. Order now.
Oh my god. That is great. That's awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank
That's
you very
so
much.
funny. You thought it, so you must like it.
That's so funny.
That's the worst part of it, man.
Yeah.
That's the worst part. You thought about it, now you're like, was that from me?
Like,
You
oh
know
my
what I'm
god,
saying?
disgusting.
No, do I actually like want to kill my parents?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
say, I completely agree that social media has like a generally negative effect on me personally. I think one of the weirdest parts of social media is that I get really uncomfortable with like the amount of space in my head that other people's lives take up. Like, and not even just like immediate people that you know, other people as in, like, what was I doing in my car before I walked in? I was on TikTok and I was scrolling and they have now, when you go to like the comments of a video, there's a search bar. Like there's a search prompt where you can find out more information about this topic that I don't care about. I was sitting in my car watching videos of Blueface hit,
Chrissy?
no, Krishan's dad. Like, I was like, oh my God, I want to see that. Why? Like, I'm sitting in my car. I could be like, you know, I know I'm about to go in and do a podcast on social media, and I'm still
On social media.
social media engulfed in this thing that I've never met these people in my life,
We're
but I want to
addicted.
know more about it.
We're addicted. And that's the thing. Do you want to know more about it? That's a
No.
question. Do you, or do you not
But
want
it's
to
at
think
my
about?
fingertips. It's right there. It's telling me to do it. I hit the comment section and it's like, oh,
Oof.
here's a video.
Or
Oh,
get some
no.
relief.
Here's where you can find it. Go to TikTok, type this in. It tells you, go to Twitter. You know, it tells you exactly how to find what you want to find.
No,
but
it
it should
doesn't
have been none
even-
of my business.
'Cause you
Yeah,
don't-
it doesn't. You don't even have to search for it anymore. That's what she's talking about. Like the feature, whatever the video is talking to you about, like say, the echo chamber or whatever. If it was like talking about that, the search bar will be like, "What is an echo chamber?" And you just click on it. You don't even have to go to Safari and search it up.
Yeah.
Like
And it's like that time spent, and that's all day long, where you're looking at something on social media, you go down a rabbit hole, and suddenly you're learning about this one person's specific life that I've never met a day in my life. I never gave one thought about before this, and it's like, now suddenly I'm going to know everything about this topic because it's right there. When I
100%.
could have been spending that time like preparing for this, or like, you know,
But I
I know I want to make a scrapbook for Christmas for Shane, and I could have been getting ready for that. Like I could have been going through my own personal life and photos and picking out the ones that I wanted, but instead I'm trying to figure out why JoJo Siwa and her girlfriend broke up. And
And it's like you're almost like you almost enjoy the fact that you're getting to solve other people's problems and
Yeah.
deal with other people's thoughts, and you get to heart people and say, "You go, girl," when she's having a tough day. When you're the one having a tough day, you know. I don't think social media helps me at all. Really, I really don't. I think that in general, social media has a pretty negative effect on me because I see everybody else's life. I scroll through there real quick and I see just a quick highlight reel of everything else going on in the world. I see advertisements. Like, I think in my mind, advertisements are trying to show you where your life is lacking, that you need something. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of is a cheesy version. Like, are you tired of whatever? But like that's like the first. That was like the first, like, oh my God, here's a brilliant idea for marketing. We should say, are you tired of this? And then we should show them what they could be doing instead. And that we haven't gotten far from that type of perspective. You know what I'm saying? And so when I get off Instagram or Reels, like I don't really use TikTok and stuff, but I feel shit. I don't feel good from it. So I would say no. I don't think generally for me on a personal level it has a good impact.
It almost gets like a little bit embarrassing to admit how much I know about people's lives. Like,
Yeah.
Seriously.
it's scary because once you go down a hole, it's like, damn, I know their aunt, I know their uncle, I know what their first pet was named, I know when their boyfriend's birthday is, I know like all this stuff that doesn't matter in my life whatsoever, and I even forget some of those own details in my own life, but I remember everything about the one that I just read about.
No, I
for no
attended
reason.
a wedding in April, and the girl that got married, she changed her name to her boyfriend's last name. Obviously, she was married to. And then the other day, my friend calls me, and she's like, "Are this person and this person divorced?" And I'm like, "Or like they're not together anymore?" I'm like, "How do you know?" And she's like, "Yeah, she deleted all her pictures with him. She like removed his last name." It's so crazy, and they're not even friends. Like the person that told me, they're not even close. They've never had one actual conversation. But we're so invested into other people's lives, and we want to know everything about everyone. It's scary.
I think it's just about how you take it in, though. A lot of it, because your brain is like the last filter, you know. So I just think it has its negative aspects, but it also has its positive aspects.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Alex is saying you think it's really, he says, it's really just about how you take it in because last filter is your brain. And so if you look at it one way versus the other, I respect that. However, I think, do you have the ability, does your brain, which is not your brain, it's an evolutionary brain, you know, it's like the brain that's been produced by millions of years of evolution. Are you able to constantly hold a filter in front of what you're seeing to remind your brain that this is actually not what's going on? This is actually not what's happening. This person's actually not smiling. They're actually not happy. Like you're having to now introduce another filter that says they're smiling, but they're not happy. They look fit, but they're not fit. You see a bunch of social media accounts start to pop up that are like the anti-social media accounts, like someone that posts themselves looking chubby, looking sloppy, looking messy, looking dirty. And it's like, do you think that you really have that type of autonomy over the functions of your brain to register what the general consensus of the world around you is?
I think you can't escape that feeling, but it's also good to recognize when you're feeling that, you know, so you'll know whether I need to put it down or why am I sharing this content that I'm sharing. Like, nobody needs to know about who got killed or whatever or something happened that's negative influence, so I would never post anything like that, you know what I mean? But it's also you trying to find what's not really there because you feel like everybody just have like this makeup over it, or is it just, you know, how you're seeing it, you know, through your eyes.
Yeah.
That's a great.
It's you that feel like that, you know, so it's kind of like, how do you take it in? I honestly think it's good to be aware and recognize it, you know, so
I think so too.
stay in tune with the present, but also know like how you interpret information, like personally, like even right here, you know, that's the same way like how you see through like on Instagram, you know, and it's just TV, so it's just like that's just how I see it. Like,
I think look, I know Alex, you're normally a really positive guy. You know, I just disagree though because I'm like, you got like, what's your screen time? You know what I'm saying? What's your hours?
Exactly.
8? You got
bro, like I don't even go back and look at it for like, or look at the comments like later.
Oh, for sure. Very healthy.
But I mean, the entire industry is kind of built on retention, you know, and attention to your phone. So, like, you know, you say, yeah, put it down, do this, but I mean, how often do we actually practice that?
You're addicted to that shit. And on
You know?
top of that too, like you said, TV, it's TV. Hey, at the end of the day, it's TV, right? You know, it's just TV, right? Something. I don't know exactly what you said, but wrenching TV. The difference in TV is a broadcast of a general entertainment that's still like media. It's like the last 60 years of human existence have we even had something called media. But the TV doesn't know who you are, doesn't know what your interests are, doesn't know what you're looking for, and doesn't then show you a barrage of people that are in that same category that are like non-fucking stop for you to compare yourself to. Like, I'm better than them, I'm less than them, or I'm better than them.
I think
It gets a little weird at that point because it's like it's targeting my interest.
Then too, like, you know, you in your city, in your group of friends, you're like really unique. You're the only person, really, Garrison, the only person in my group of friends other than Sam that fucks with dubstep and fucking makes that shit. You're like the only person I have to compare it to. You know what I'm saying? So like you easily win in a group of people. You know what I'm saying? If you're like a really fucking good chef, you're fucking bomb in your group of friends. Everyone's like, yo, he's the chef. He makes great fucking pies, you know? But on social media, there is a infinite window into every other person that's that is exactly interested in the same stuff you're interested to, so that you can now like you really can't climb to the top of the ladder and feel that dopamine, serotonin rush of making progress, because as soon as you start showing interest in something like coding, you get hit with an ad that's like, are you still learning to code this way? You know, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost predatory, man.
It is.
I can't even develop a new skill naturally anymore. Like, can you imagine if you're a kid and you're like outside playing with trucks and your phone listens to you playing with little toy Tonka trucks, and it's like, are you still using those old ass trucks? And you're like, I am. And you go tell your mom you're 7 years old, you can't even play on a dirt hill anymore that getting advertised to.
I had that literal exact thought today. Like when after school on Mondays, we usually take the boys to like the old warehouse and they play hockey. Mostly Ryan because he's interested in it. They have access to like every hockey game they'd ever want to watch, every YouTube video about how to play the sport you could ever want to watch, like everything about the best, skates to have, the best stick to have, all of this stuff, the best form, whatever. And it's like you take this thing that could be a really cool interest, and Shane played hockey, so like it could be a really cool thing for Shane to teach what he knows to Ryan, but Ryan already knows it all in his head. He thinks he knows it all, and it makes people like unteachable, uncoachable, and like know-it-alls, and not that Ryan's like any of those negative things. It's just like I was thinking about that earlier. It's like where do people's like want to learn where does that go? Because anything you want to know, you just find it out, and you take that as word instead of like you have this real life example in front of you of someone who's done it and was good at it, and instead of like engaging in that in your personal life, you're looking everywhere else.
You're looking at the person that can sell it better.
Yeah.
Because it's not better. Yeah. That for me is one of the biggest ways I've realized that social media fucked me. Bless you.
Thank you. I've been trying to get that out for the beginning of the podcast. Anyways.
Yeah.
What type of effect does it have on someone to nonstop? We're talking 7 hours a day, right? Nonstop. Being sold to, right? Sold to. And here's what's interesting, because it's not just he's learning hockey stuff. Mm-hmm. He's hearing people say, like, it sounds really cheesy, are you still using the same stick? But it's all like it all is that. You're one step away from becoming the greatest goalie in the game. Download this 6-week training course to help you get faster with your swipes and better with your drops. And it's like, what it fucked me up, genuinely, the way social media actually fucked me up, and I'm only just now realizing it, was that right there tries to pitch you a course, but the tone of it and the pitch is so good, because those are the ones that rise to the top, the best of the best sales, and I nonstop, are you still trying to get leads, convert customers your old way? Are you still running a gym as if are you still using Excel to track your workouts? I slowly, every day, for hours a day, took in media that was telling me that I was missing the key secret to getting to the next place, to where I went from a successful 16, 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old workaholic because I knew that if I worked hard I could be successful, to someone who was obsessed with emulating the people that advertised to me that they were more successful than me. And I began to learn how to emulate those people who sold me on the secret more than I learned how to develop my craft more. It's like, is this making people more salesmen than it is genuinely liking what they're doing?
What Alex said about, it's about how you take it in. It's about how you look at it and stuff. I think it's nice to be aware and like have a positive look on it. But like the way I picture social media and ads like that and stuff, it's like a battering ram going against a door, and like your brain is the door.
Yes.
Like it's gonna hit you and hit you and hit you and hit you until it breaks through. Like for that to work, you would have to have that mindset every single time your phone is in your hand. And even if that's like your overall approach to it, some points are still going to get through. Like something's still going to break through, something's still going to penetrate, and it's it's just overall, like, I feel like it's just draining.
Alex, you talk about a lot the subconscious mind. So think about that. What's it training your subconscious mind to do? Obviously, you got the conscious dialogue. You're like, I ain't buying your shit.
I feel like it's a battle between your subconscious mind and people who get paid millions of dollars to learn how that subconscious mind reacts.
Yeah.
And, you know, like,
Well, take it.
Garrison said he thinks it's a battle between, you're playing this chess game between your subconscious mind, which you are unconscious of, and $1 million paid scientists who are learning how to make you click on things through the quality of their advertisements and marketing too, which are not demonstrative or.
You talking about like how like businesses use like social media?
We're talking about social media as a whole in how you're affected personally, Christian.
Yeah, I was gonna say when all you do is consume. Like, at what point, or the scary factor is like, what's even an original thought past?
Yeah.
You know, that if you're getting fed and intaking so much information, like, how do you even know if, you know, what you think you're interested in, you're actually naturally, organically interested in, or whether you've been
Manipulated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, did I ever really?
Yeah.
The less you consume, the more you consume, the less you create. Garrison says. Like, did I really naturally gravitate towards learning sales, or did I, as a new business person, get blasted with content about, are you still doing this and my new sales program, my whatever, to get 10 times the clients, yada yada yada, and then I, like, through that marketing, that's a really brilliant point, Christian.
Yeah.
Began to manipulate my natural interest. And it's not that, like, oh, well, what, you know, there's always been books. There's always, like, you know, you walk past an orange tree one day, you become an orange salesman. Like, you're interacting with life, and it's always inspiring you to develop your life story to the next page. Sure, so be it. Think about this. You have, 7 seconds roughly, probably, in the average reel that you're watching. You sit and watch your phone for, let's say, 7 hours, 2 hours that is on Instagram. You're taking in 10 a minute. 600 an hour, 2 hour, 1,200 7-second blips of information that's curated to change your mind a little bit. Are you not going to be affected? Interesting.
And not even like with people that you know in your immediate circle. It's like, damn, I lost that thought.
I'm going to be in a devil's advocate
just
for a
went right out my
second,
head.
but I feel like if you don't have those information accessible, that's where you could see a positive about it. Because say Ryan wants to be the best hockey person, and say Shane taught him a lot of lessons on how to be good at hockey, but say the best hockey person has a 10-minute video on YouTube that he could watch and maybe learn a few tips and tricks, and that is going to make him one of the best on his team or whatever. I think there is a positive to see in a sense. There is a lot of bad to focus on, but there are positives here and there.
Yeah.
Like,
It is definitely a positive. That's definitely a positive. The only problem is the platform people spend 8 hours a day on is financed by advertisers that want to change your mind. Do you think they won't? Garrison. Okay, let's move on to this next question.
I got one more for since we're talking about,
Go for it,
you know,
dude.
personal. How often do we reinforce our idea of self-love from interactions with social media versus digging into your core and, you know, realizing who you are as a person versus the likes you got on a video or, you know, the comments? How often do you give yourself compliments and love based off of that reaction versus inner peace?
It's huge, man. That's
Yeah.
huge. And then we have this really interesting situation. Almost feels like Black Mirror, where I love the mindset, and Alex, you're a great representation of this, and you hold a lot of positivity in the area of how you demonstrate yourself. I'm different, though. I can't say that I would believe that if I posted my interest for the world to see, and I posted a different interest and that one blew up versus the other one, that I would not pursue the second one, sheerly because my brain has been evolutionarily wired to do the things that my society rewards me to do. That's how you create personalities, and you can't get around that. Garrison?
I was gonna say that, like, so it takes your interest and then pushes the best of the best within that interest category to you, and that is gonna cause a lot of people to have self-doubt and rethink. Like, for me personally, like what Iqbal said, there's great resources out there. Like, when I first started making music, I could learn anything I want to about making music. But at the same time, the more I start searching music and I start following DJs and all that kind of stuff, then I'm getting the best of the best, the sold out show videos, all that kind of stuff, which makes me feel like me playing not sold out shows and not packed out arenas is not the same thing. It's not something to be proud of. It's not something to enjoy.
It's definitely possible, right? It's definitely possible to then take, like, I looked at Hole's Instagram the other day, and he was talking about finishing his first U.S. tour, right? 36 stops in a U.S. tour. Shout out Hole. Fucking love you, man. And he said, this is amazing, going 6 years back where I was working at Waffle House, and every second I had off of work, I nonstop made music, and for 4 years, nothing happened. And then, boom, I got a good track, and then, boom, I started hitting up, and then now 2 years later, all that's been a success. I'm not saying it's not possible, right? 6 years ago was different social media scene to now, but it definitely, I think it's hard to argue that the heroic determination is so much greater now for someone to say, I believe I can, therefore I will, right? Because there's so much perfection being thrown at you. Lex, last thought, then let's move to this next question.
Can I say, like, you're right. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, when I post social, when I look at other fitness influence social media and everything, like, man, they have so much engagement. They have like 100,000 likes on their,
Yeah.
you know, their pictures. Like, okay, I start to compare myself. But then it's also like that mindset, the fortitude that you have to like kind of combat that, to understand that, like, I really. Actually, I don't really care about that. I care about what I'm doing. I like what I post and like that too, that I do.
Yes.
So it's that's why I say it's good to be aware that it's just like that you feel whole yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Into that aspect, just like posting and not really get all into like the whole, you know, look at this guy on there or look at this person doing that.
I agree. It's going to be tough whenever it's your job,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Let's
That's
let's move on. What's your reaction? I think social media has a negative effect on society as a whole. So when we broaden this question from on a personal level, maybe mentally you have a hard time sleeping at night, you compare yourself, or you feel great and you love being inspired by others. That's awesome. I think there's a next question that everyone should take responsibility in, and that's maybe for you it's beneficial, cool. But what do you think when you analyze how social media and the way it's built, which we're going to talk about that more here. How do you think that affects social media or affects the society we live in as a whole? Think 2016 presidential election. Think where we're at now with the polarizing differences you see from the left and the right with politics. It's being algorithmically driven to you based on your interests and perspectives to create somewhat of an echo chamber for you. When you log onto Facebook or social media, what you see is two videos of Donald Trump. One's being pitched in a good way. One's being pitched in a not so good way. You see the not so good one, you go, oh, fuck Jake, whoever shared that. Fuck that guy. He don't know what he's talking about. You see the good one, and you watch 20 seconds of it. Facebook sees you like the one that's good, and it starts to create a world around you where Donald Trump is a hero. The shitty part about this is not only does it create an echo chamber, right? Like if you go to church and you're a Christian, everyone around you is Christian, so you're like, Christianity is the right thing, and anyone who doesn't think that is stupid. And if you got in the real world and someone said, I don't believe in God, you'd say, what? Why don't you come to church and I'll drown you into the echo chamber and you'll believe it too. Not only does it create a positive environment of where all you see is great headlines and things you like, it also creates negative shit. Like the story you read about marriage, equality in marriage, gay people can get married. You read that event through the lens of the news of how it's being pitched to you. Which if you're in a very right-wing conservative, it's going to say these people, these horrible people are threatening to destroy the foundations of this country, starting with the thing of marriage. You're going to see that headline, and the same headline will read on someone else's that'll say, like, there's beautiful development now in the term marriage, now includes all forms of love, and how awesome that is. But you don't, like our grandfathers did not see news headlines that were particular to them. Mm-hmm. What the fuck? Our grandfathers, our fathers did not see news lines that were specific to them. So when you walk into work and you have the feeling of, did you see the news today? Those motherfuckers are trying to kill this country. It's not that way anymore. It is a particular specific news article curated for you. And I think that is horrible. Like, how can you truly expect to have an open mind anymore when 8 hours a day your full-time job is consuming content from people that want to curate information that you agree with, right? I was thinking about this yesterday, G. I was like thinking social media is like an anti-psychedelic. You take some mushrooms, you realize, oh shit, the whole world is nothing like I thought it was. It's so much more expansive. It's so different. And there's so much more to learn. You take some social media, You log on social media, you go, oh, the thoughts I have are exactly correct, and even more so. The people I think are good are even more good, and the people I think are bad are even more bad. The lines become thicker in black and white. I think it's detrimental.
It creates a false sense of reality.
When Garrison said, when you're on psychedelics, you don't touch your phone. And there's a reason. You ain't got time for that shit, baby.
It's like your mind realizes that's not important.
It's not important.
And like you're not trying to go learn about what Susie Q is making for dinner. You're like, holy shit, there's grass. Brown.
Yes.
I'm gonna stare at this for like the next 30 minutes.
I think people don't know how to just disagree anymore. Like it's made everything so extreme. Like because you're surrounded by, when you log on to any social media platform, you're surrounded by people who have very similar views to you. It drives, like you said, it drives home that feeling that you're right. That
You're right.
This is the best way. This is the only way. Anyone who thinks anything different has to be wrong. Look at all these people that agree with me that I'm right.
Exactly. They're the minority.
Yeah, and
Look
it's
at
like
that.
It incites conflict.
It
Yeah.
incites conflict, Garrison says.
and then it makes anything that should just be a simple disagreement. People are allowed to disagree. It makes it like, you're that kind of person? Are you serious? Like,
Yes.
wow, I can't be friends with you. I can't be around you because that doesn't fit into what I think.
I believe xenophobia. Is that right? Xenophobia, I believe, is the right term for fear of of things that appear foreign or other. Xenophobic. And that is, I think, a real byproduct of using social media. Because you like, it's hard to truly believe that social media is not the real world. It's hard to really believe that because it has news articles and updates and everything being sent to you. And it's not just, by the way, for people listening, it's not just ads. We're not talking about ads here. We're talking about the function. Think about, just so you know, the business model of Facebook and Instagram and TikTok is to keep you on the platform, to engage you, so that then they can sell your attention to advertisers. The algorithms that create the content that pops up in your organic newsfeed, this is not a doom, gloom, the world's over type pitch, but in a way it's kind of funky, are curated to ways to keep you engaged, which are going to reinforce your beliefs. And also, the mega hammer is when there's some infuriating, inflammatory news lines like, so-and-so did this, can you believe it? And it burrows you down deep into your beliefs and gets you ready to fight the people that don't believe like you.
It creates a false sense of reality because I feel like for me, my phone or like social media devices that I pick up, I never talk about politics and I don't care to talk about politics. It's like always like funny shit, like, oh my gosh, he farted or whatever. So my social media just picks up on that and it's all like, oh my gosh, happy go lucky, be your best self, like funny, haha. Like I don't know shit about the news. So like I'm just like in this little happy place, but sometimes like I'll see something that happened and I'm like, oh shit, like maybe I should be more focused on stuff like that, or like maybe I should get out of this like created world that I've made in my device and like know what the fuck is going on with the world and what's like the viruses and the shit that's going on.
And you're not going to be able to see what the fuck is going on with the world through your social media app because you're peering so deep. You cannot. It's like trying to tell your friend, tell me the truth. Tell me what you really fucking think about me. Tell me what you think about it. It's like, I can't because I am so deeply invested in keeping you liking me. I can't tell you what's really going on.
It also, what you said earlier about like having an original thought, like it's also kind of scary to think about, you know, the algorithm that your phone works on or whatever, like it attaches to this one part of one thing that maybe you were just looking into it. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Maybe you were just looking into it and now your phone latches onto that thing and it's showing you more and more and more of that. And it's like, it starts to bend what you probably would have thought on your own, if that makes sense. It's like a little bit scary to wonder, like, do I actually think this? Is this what I actually want to think? Or is this just what I'm seeing the most of? And I know that there's other things out there and you can look at them, but you're seeing this over and over and over and over again, it's like, would I have come up with this on my own? Is this actually how I feel about this?
And
or is this just because it's right here?
Christian?
I'm just going to wrap it up quick and say that it's negative for the simple fact that we are literally invested more heavily into the digital world than we are the physical world. I mean,
yeah.
And I guarantee that applies to every single person.
Yeah.
You know?
Except for this guy.
Except for this
Jaron
guy.
Lanier is
lead singer of Slipknot.
Yeah. Man, I tell you what. Jaron Lanier. I just found him
Jaron.
as I was looking into different information about social media and how it works. Jaron Lanier is a Silicon Valley entrepreneur, well-respected businessman in Silicon Valley, which is in California. It's the group of people that are like tech entrepreneurs, right? It's like Google, Facebook, Uber, all the tech big companies are all headquartered in Silicon Valley or in that area of California and all work with each other. He actually built a company and sold it to Google. He is in no way, shape, or form an outsider to the world of social media. But Jaron Lanier thinks that social media is a dark, dark thing, and it's truly built to addict you and then manipulate your emotions so that people can sell to you. So we're going to watch this clip together and share our thoughts on it. We encourage you to comment below if you have any specific thoughts about Jaron Lanier, because I think he's a brilliant guy.
Is there a principal reason why I should delete my social media? And if so, what is it?
There are two. One of them is for your own good, and the other is for society's good. For your own good, it's because you're being subtly manipulated by algorithms that are watching everything you do constantly.
Just an FYI, this guy's brilliant beyond measure. He plays 60 musical instruments.
Holy crap.
60.
60. He's
We
a
were just talking about
brilliant
bands.
mind. Brilliant. Yeah. Alex said there's 60 instruments. I'm with you, bro. Drums, guitar, a triangle,
Suddenly I'm turned on.
electric. Then look at him.
Right? He said, I'm going to get you.
Sending you changes in your media feed, in your diet, that are calculated to adjust you slightly to the liking of some unseen advertiser. And so if you get off that, you can have a chance to experience a clearer view of yourself and your life. But then the reason for society might be even
8 hours a day, average screen time. Just keep that in mind.
more important. Society has been gradually darkened by this scheme in which everyone is under surveillance all the time, and everyone is under this mild version of behavior modification all the time. It's made people jittery and cranky. It's made teens especially depressed, which can be quite severe. But it's made our politics kind of unreal and strange, where we're not sure if elections are real anymore. We're not sure how much the Russians affected Brexit. We do know that it was a crankier affair than it might have been otherwise.
You say it's bad for me as an individual. Is it bad for me because I'm addicted? Have I become chemically hooked?
You have. The founders of the great Silicon Valley spying empires like Facebook have publicly declared that they intentionally included addictive schemes in their designs. Now, we have to say, this is what I would call almost a stealthy addiction. It's a statistical addiction. What it says is, we will get the broad population to use the services a lot. We'll get them hooked through a scheme of rewards and punishment. And the rewards are when you're retweeted. The punishment is when you're treated badly by others online. And then within that, we'll very gradually start to leverage that to change them. So it's this very kind of stealthy manipulation of the population. So it's not as dramatic as a heroin addict or a gambling addict, but it is the same principle.
But who's doing the manipulating? I mean, there isn't some master sort of Wizard of Oz sitting behind a screen, is there?
Well, this is the peculiarity of
This guy's so funny.
I was going to say, let's pause it real quick. One point we didn't talk about was just the surveillance aspect. You know, that all the data that these companies have on you and your interactions, your interest, everything down to, you know, location. But how easy is it to manipulate or sway your point of view for whatever the cause?
You know, when you go skydiving, has anyone else been skydiving?
No.
Damn, I was hoping. So anyways, back to me. Yeah. When you go skydiving, an interesting thing happens. You get into the plane and you start going up, and it's really scary. And then as you get up more and more, it starts to be kind of less scary. You almost feel like your balls are like tense up as you're taking off and looking at the ground because you can see how far it is. And I asked the guy I was jumping with, and he said depth perception is different after 2,000 feet. You can only really see what's going on, how far you are. You can only really feel in your body what's going on within 2,000 feet. The high rise at the fair, it's scary. It's 100 feet. You know, it's freaking you out. 200 feet up on top of it, and it's scary. But once you get to 2,000 feet and higher, your brain really can't tell how that you're even up. It thinks it's looking at something, so you don't feel it. I feel like in a similar sense, our brain can't register how dangerous of a territory we're in, that something knows exactly where we are, what we do all the fucking time. Like, it's impossible for us to genuinely conceive how detrimental that will be and how much control. Like, I don't think most people think there's any form of control in privacy. I don't even know if I think that. And I feel like that's going to come back to bite us in the future.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I think that part where he said reward and punishment, that really shocked me because I never thought about it like as a drug addict, or if you're addicted to anything, you have like, you're so scared to be punished, so you sneak around, and like you have that punishment factor, but you also have the reward of like taking the drug, and you're like, like that's nice.
Yes.
That's the same with like likes and dislikes, or someone not liking your stuff at all, but you having like 600 followers and you're only getting 10 likes. It's like, oh shit, like they must not like me. Like it's like, am I posting the wrong stuff? Is it me? Is it them? Like that's crazy.
It is crazy.
Or even admitting to yourself that social media is an addiction in general, and that's something you struggle with, and telling yourself to put the fucking phone down. Like, you're not going to do it.
You're not going to fucking do it. I do want to say, in respect for your time, we probably will go 15 minutes over, so if you need to dip, feel free to dip, and Alex can take your place. And let's keep rolling.
The people who run the tech companies like Google and Facebook are not doing the manipulating. They're doing the addicting. But the manipulating, which rides on the back of the addicting, is the paying customer of such a company. So, and many of those customers are not at all bad influences. They might simply be trying to promote their cars or their perfumes or whatever. And indeed, I have sympathy for them because they're concerned that if they don't put money into the system, nobody will know about them anymore.
How is it different to just television advertising or billboard advertising or anything else?
This is exactly what Christian was just talking about. He says, how is it different from anything? How's it different from television?
The difference is the constant feedback loop. So when you watch the television isn't watching you. When you see the billboard isn't seeing you. And vast numbers of people see the same thing on television and see the same billboard. When you use these new designs, social media, search, YouTube, when you see these things, you're being observed constantly, and algorithms are taking that information and changing what you see next. And they're searching and searching and searching, and they're just blind robots. There's no evil genius here until they find those patterns, those little tricks that get you and make you change your behavior.
In terms of society, I mean, you threw in this, it's making people depressed. But is there any actual evidence for that?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a vast amount of evidence. There have been dozens of studies at this point, including studies released by Facebook scientists. So this is something we can call a consensus. And when Facebook releases such things, they say, oh, but we do all these good things too that balance it. But there's a general acknowledgement that depression correlates. The scariest example is a correlation between rises in teen suicide and the rise in use of social media. And so, yes, unfortunately, this is real.
But are you sure you can blame it on social media? Or is it not just those two things may have happened at the same time for other reasons?
Well, here's a distinction we have to make. It's very similar to the problem of global climate change. We can say statistically over the whole population, yes, the correlation is real. In any particular person, of course, we can't. Just as we can't blame any particular storm on global warming.
But it's causality, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it is causality, and this is something that's very well demonstrated. So when the company's own scientists are publishing on this topic and come to the same agreement, I think it's time to say this is real.
Why have you sort of turned on your own kind, if you like?
I love Silicon Valley, and I do not at all feel that I've turned on my own kind. And just to be clear, I'm very much a part of this. I've sold a company to Google. I'm not in any sense an outsider. I believe that what we're doing is not in our own self-interest. Business interests are a part of society. If they destroy society, they destroy themselves. I believe it's very clear that we could offer all of the good things, and there are many, many good things in these services, and social media in particular. I'm convinced we can offer them without this manipulation engine in the background. There's a world of other business plans, and I think they'd be better for us. So I don't think we're being evil so much as we're being stupid.
Very interesting take on this guy has. One of the suggestions that he has is that you could change the business model to where instead of advertisers financing the platform existing, that users would finance it. much like Netflix, you would pay to access the platform. What do you guys think about something like that? Paying $2 a month, paying $5 a month to use Instagram so that the platform itself is not being rigged by advertisers trying to sell you things.
I think it would help in a sense of how much ads you're pushed, but ultimately I think that you would still run into the same issue. I mean, you're still going to have algorithms pushing the content that you stop 1 extra second longer on a video for, or the type of pictures or posts you like.
Do you think so, though? I feel like it might change. I think if you got on Facebook and you paid for it, you might expect to see something that feels better, like feels.
But would that not kind of
professional?
Go back to the same echo chamber you were talking about?
I don't know. I get what you're saying.
Does paying for the app change the algorithm of it, or now it's just
interesting stuff?
And you as a user would be like, shit, I'm paying for this app. Why isn't it like recommending stuff that I actually like? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Bunch of fitness women. I know, man. Yeah, if you got on Garrison said if you got on someone else's explore page, you'd be like, this isn't interesting to me. Whenever Instagram started doing that, it kind of fucked me because the girl I was dating at the time, like if there was ever a hot babe on my explore page, I'm like, I don't have control over what pops up on it. And I remember the first time I started seeing underneath it, it was like based on photos you've interacted with. And I'm like, I don't have any control.
That's bullshit.
Based on photos you've saved, I'm like, I don't have any control over what's going on. Yeah, based on photos you screenshotted, based on bitches you fucked. All right, so
would it be kind of weird too? Like, as much as we all recognize like how negatively social media can impact us, but like, what would that do in your brain? What would that be like in your brain if you're like, okay, I know it's fucked up, but I'm gonna pay for it. It's like I'm subjecting myself to this, and now I'm paying to subject myself to this, because you would probably still do it.
But I think you're already paying for it regardless with your attention. Like, you're the consumer.
Yeah.
No, like, seriously. Like, you're the consumer. Whatever ad you're consuming, technically you're paying that person
like,
to see that ad.
I almost feel like it could be worse. Like, and I think it depends on you as a person too. But like, imagine that feeling though. Like, you, at first, you could say like, well, it's just a free app. Like, I'm just on here just to be on here. But now it's like, no. I'm here because I want to be here, and I'm doing this to myself, and I'm letting myself feel this way. I don't know. I think it could be worse. Like, for people, because I don't think that just saying that you're going to charge for the app is going to make people decide to not get on it, especially now that we've already been on it.
There's obviously some changes that need to be made to social media to make it better for its users. Right now, it's not that great. Right now, I think you're getting calls, buddy. Is that you? It definitely needs to see some changes. Things that are, what's vibrating?
The music out there?
Maybe it is.
I've
Or
heard
one thing
that,
go ahead.
a little bit, but I don't think it's us.
One thing I thought he said was interesting was the fact that there's no like man behind the curtain. There's no like one evil being kind of trying to control or like monopolize on us as a society. It's all user driven. It's our own fault.
Yes.
I think really the only answer to this issue of social media is, we're not getting rid of it. It's kind of in the DNA of our structure now.
And it's not that there's a big man behind a big man behind the curtain like the Wizard of Oz scenario. It's that, like he said, we're not being evil. The very last thing he said was not being evil. We're just being naive.
Yeah.
People are saying like, hey, we leave people to their own devices. They watch what they want to watch. They engage what they want to engage. We're just going to set up a metric that whatever they engage with more, it continues to feed them more, that kind of stuff. And that may not be the best option.
Yeah.
Either way, social media may be headed to hell in a handbasket, and we can't help out with that. We're not assuming you're going to delete your social media today, so we might as well show you a couple of our favorite TikToks of the week.
Hell yeah.
Well, shit, yeah. This is me and Christian Lane's chat on Instagram. This is the...
Oh, God.
This is one we shared, so let's just, I say at random, we pick up a couple of them.
Oh, my God, Aldo. I love him.
We'll see what we got.
Great. And the last one is, I came here to do two things. Hand out hard candy and blow some motherfucking dicks off. And I'm all out of hard candy.
I came here for two things. To suck some hard candy and suck some dicks. I came here to do two things, and what are they?
Hand out hard candy.
Oh, hand out hard candy.
And blow some fucking dicks
off.
And blow some motherfucking dicks off.
Suck some dicks.
Cocksucker.
think we got to give it up to Granny.
That's so funny.
You know what I'm saying? I think we got to give it up to Granny because here she is chasing her
best.
dreams.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She don't have social media. She's not on social media trying to, you know what I'm saying, get paid for her reels. She's out there at real Hollywood studios and, you know what I'm saying, looking to go out for a part. I'm out here trying to hand out some hard candies and suck some fucking dicks. Shit. Shout out to our lady.
Shout out to Maymo.
Hope you're doing well out there. Let's see here. I don't know if you
John G. Second down on the right.
You guys seen this shit? You guys seen this guy? Okay. Yeah.
Slipknot's lead guitarist.
These bitches hit my line talking about I hit up back talking about
It just gives me such a bad ache.
He looks like
She
Blake.
tried to hit me with the
Looks like Blake.
and then I fucking turn around and hit her. I hit the and then she's like, why the fuck you hit the because I
don't know. I'm feeling it.
It's the mossy oak for me.
Oh my goodness.
Should I guess we got time for one more.
Real tree boys.
Yeah, we need two more
Aldo.
because this one's great. Christian, why'd you send me that, man? What was that one about, bro?
Inspiration, baby.
Inspiration.
You can do whatever you put your mind to.
Go out there, chase the day. Hey, look, guys, last TikTok of the day, last reel of the day. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Let's keep talking and breaking down social media. And look, spend less time. Let's get the screen time down, okay? Less screen time. That's all we're asking.
Watch all this podcast.
Go watch this podcast and then watch this whole podcast, then get the fuck off your phone.
Play it before you go to bed at night to quiet your intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Man,
Shit.
Oh my goodness.
I'll let you, boy.
good shit. We out you. Peace.